They told her to be respectful. She chose to tell the truth. What Delia Ramirez just said about DHS, ICE, and CBP is something Congress almost never says out loud, and it just blew the doors off this hearing.
Now recognize the gentlelady from Illinois, Ms. Ramirez, for 5 minutes of questions.
Thank you, Chairman. My mother, a Guatemalan immigrant and an American, taught me that I have the responsibility to look evil in the eye and to fight it back. Mr. Lyons, Mr. Scott, Mr. Edlow, you have used your power to perpetrate great evil. And it's about time you answer this committee for the lawlessness that you've empowered and defended in your testimony. Mr. Lyons, I want to start with you. And I want to talk about ICE. Because under your leadership, ICE has shot and killed Silverio Villegas Gonzalez and Renee Good, violated nearly 100 court orders in January alone. You've used banned chokeholds in more than 40 cases, engaged in warrantless arrests despite of a consent decree, and you used children as bait to put 3,800 children in detention. You created traps for people at immigration court who were following the law and doing it the legal way. And you broke the law by entering into people's homes without a judicial warrant in violation of the Fourth Amendment. Now, let's talk about you, Mr. Scott, and CBP next. Under your leadership, CBP has attempted to execute Marimar Martinez, shooting her 5 times and not releasing the footage that you should release so that we can see the evidence, murdered Alex Preddy, used chemical agents dozens of times in Chicago after a judge ordered you to stop, conducted warrantless surveillance and racial profiling, and acted with total disrespect and disregard for the law while engaging in roving patrols, plate switching, dangerous traffic maneuvers, and observer intimidation. Again, criminals act with that total disregard for the law, and we continue to see it. You would both have us talk about respect for your mission and your agents. But your agencies are unaccountable, paramilitary forces, and I have just as much respect for you as I do for the last white men who put on masks to terrorize communities of color. I have no respect for the inheritors of the Klan Hood and the slave patrol. Those activities were immoral then and criminal, and so are yours. And that brings me to you, Mr. Edlow, and USCIS. Truly, USCIS is the most disappointing part of this whole panel for me. Mr. Edlow, let me ask you a question. Is USCIS's mission to uphold America's promise as a nation of welcome and possibility with fairness, integrity, and respect for all we serve? Yes or no? Is that the mission?
Congresswoman, the mission is to administer the lawful immigration
system.
Okay,
let me move on. So it is not for the possibility of fairness, integrity, and respect. I get that. I want to tell you about Stephen, my constituent, Mr. Edlow. Stephen is a 14-year-old with autism who is seeking asylum. This child has spent 60 days in detention center after he was detained with his dad at a check-in. Let me ask you this. What kind of agency would strip asylum protections from children, even those with pending asylum claims, and deport minors without due process? You don't have to answer that. It's your agency, Mr. Edlow. You are doing that to Stephen, my constituent, an 8th grader. You have abandoned the mission and allowed USCIS to become a tool in DHS's abusive enforcement apparatus, Mr. Edlow. It is shameful to see what USCIS has become. As I've said before, DHS, ICE, and CBP, they're not really rogue. Congress designed DHS to violate our rights under the pretense of securing our safety. I'm going to say it loud and clear, and I'm proud to stand by what I say. DHS cannot be reformed. It must be dismantled, and something new must take its place. Because if we let DHS persist, it will continue to be a weapon that can be pointed at anyone the government considers the public enemy. And let me tell you, fascism always requires a public enemy. But the power of the people is stronger than the weapons they would wield against us. So Mr. Lyons, Mr. Scott, Mr. Edlow, you have weaponized the government. You have supported a fascist enterprise at the expense of our constitutional rights. You have violated the law. But let me remind you, you will not always be in power. One day, you will be held accountable for your role in this dark moment in America and our nation's history. I guarantee it. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
This was not political theater. This was an indictment. Delia Ramirez didn't hedge, didn't soften her words, and didn't pretend that the problem is a few bad actors or a lack of better training. She named the reality that so many communities already live with, a Department of Homeland Security that functions as an unaccountable paramilitary force, operating with impunity, racial bias, and open contempt for the Constitution it claims to defend. She walked through the record, not rhetoric. Killings, warrantless arrests, banned chokeholds, court orders ignored, children used as bait, chemical agents deployed in defiance of judges, surveillance without cause, citizens brutalized for filming, immigrants punished for following the law, a 14-year-old autistic child locked in detention while seeking asylum. These are not policy disagreements. These are abuses of power. And when Ramirez said DHS cannot be reformed, she wasn't being provocative for clicks. She was stating a conclusion drawn from years of evidence. A system designed after 9/11 to trade rights for the illusion of security has metastasized into something dangerous, something that can be turned on anyone once the label public enemy is applied. History tells us exactly where that road leads. What made this moment so powerful is that Ramirez refused the polite fiction that oversight alone fixes institutions built to evade accountability. She connected the dots between ICE, CBP, USCIS, and a broader authoritarian project that depends on fear, dehumanization, and unchecked force. And she made it clear that power is not permanent, that accountability always comes eventually, and that the people have more strength than the weapons pointed at them.